Hello everyone, it's time for another ProGuides video. My name is Nathan and I'd like to welcome you guys back to this channel. In today's video, we're going to be covering over 8 different techniques that pros use to dominate the competition. Now, to be completely honest, there's a lot of things that professional players do that may not work for the average player due to the difference in skills or thought process. In this video though, we're going to be discussing some of those different things that the pros do so you guys can implement them on your own games, and then you can go ahead and put the time into practicing them. You might want to take some notes while you're watching, or maybe just watch this video twice so you can go ahead and soak up all this valuable information. Before we get started though, it's time for our question of the day. Today's question is, what is your daily practice routine? If you don't have one, what do you do to improve at this game? Personally, I like to get 500 kills on aimbots and then play headshots only deathmatch for about 10 to 15 minutes before jumping into a competitive match. I know it sounds kind of crazy, but it kind of works for me. Afterwards, if there's something that I feel like I really did poorly in the match, I'll go practice it a little bit afterwards so I can do better next time. Without further ado, let's go ahead and look at those techniques that you can steal from the pros to rise in the ranks. The first technique we're going to want to talk about is fake planting and fake defusing. I can guarantee you that you've seen one of these two things pretty much every single professional match. Let's go ahead and start off with a fake plant. A fake plant is when you start to plant the bomb but then switch to your main weapon. That sounds silly at first, but think about some situations in which it might be useful. One reason that you might want a fake plant is that if you really think an enemy is nearby. In a late round situation where you only have 2 or 3 players left alive on your team, you might not have enough manpower to clear out the entire bomb site. In this scenario, you should fake the plant at first and see if you can get any CTs to push you. If they do, you can peek it with your teammates and surprise them with a free kill. Fake plants are even more useful in 1 versus X scenarios where there is a lot of uncertainty where the CTs are. When you're playing against multiple players by yourself, the goal is to make that 1 versus X into 1v1s. One of the ways you can be doing this is by baiting out the nearby enemies with a fake plant. You really don't need to be fake planting all the time, but it can be a useful technique when your team really needs to clutch a big round. Now onto the CT side, when you're in the retake scenario, it can be really useful to fake defuse. Especially in the higher levels of play, it is very common for the Ts to hide and not take unnecessary gunfights and wait out the bomb timer. One of the ways you can force them to fight you is by defusing the bomb and then letting go afterwards. This also is referred as tapping the bomb. When the Ts hear you defusing, you have no choice but to peek out, because if they let you defuse, then it's game over. Like fake planting, this can be really useful to isolate enemies and then pick them off one by one. You can even throw a smoke on the bomb before you're even tapping it to make sure that the Ts think that you're trying to ninja defuse. I have to warn you though, if you make any running sounds after tapping the bomb, the enemy will know exactly where you are and they will know that you're fake planting. So stay hidden. So make sure you hold down that walk key. The next technique we're going to be going over is the pop flash. A pop flash is when you throw a flashbang to make sure the enemy players in a certain position is fully blinded. If thrown correctly, the flash will pop mid-air and the enemy will have no way of turning around unless they get lucky. Pop flashes are extremely useful for setting up your teammates and getting easy kills. This will definitely put your team up an advantage every single round. One of my favorite pop flashes is Coffee Flash on Inferno because it completely blinds all of the enemies pushing out a banana and allows your teammates to peek out for a free kill. Spending a few minutes every single day on an offline server to learn flashes can win you a lot more rounds than you might think. Strafing is a really useful tool that will help you guys improve movement and allow you to access positions to make sure that it's easier for you guys to get some frags. To strafe, you need to jump into the air and then let go of your forward movement key. Hold onto your left or right movement key and then move your mouse in the same direction as that movement key. It sounds a little bit complicated in a verbal explanation, but it's not that difficult if you get the hang of it in practice. The reason you want to learn this technique is that you can go ahead and get into advanced positions that enemies don't really expect. If you like to play middle on Mirage, you can jump and strafe from window to the top of catwalk. This is a great position for you guys to get an early pick on your unsuspecting opponents, especially if you're an opper. There's a lot of great positions in this game that you can go ahead and get into if you have good enough movement. And being able to switch up your positioning a lot allows you to stay unpredictable and keep your opponents guessing. If you want to improve your strafing and hit these sort of jumps, try playing on KZ maps. There are plenty of servers dedicated to KZ maps on the community server browser. If you like to be sneaky and get weird frags, then you're going to love this next one. The next technique we're going to be going over is the OneWay Smoke. A one-way smoke is a very specific smoke that you can throw that will create a small gap where you'll be able to see an enemy in a certain position, but it will be way more difficult for them to see you. There's this really cool one-way smoke on Dust 2 that Big used last year, which allowed him to get onto the A site from catwalk without being seen by CTs playing there. This would often get them a lot of opening kills, resulting in a free bomb site. If you're interested in using these sneaky smokes, there are plenty of videos here on YouTube to show you guys the different one-way smokes and how you can utilize them in your own games. Or maybe we can even make a video ourselves. One-way smokes are a very fun trick to use once in a while, but if you use them too much, the enemy will catch on and punish you, so be careful when you're trying to use them. The next technique is very situational, but it can be a lot of fun when done correctly. Run boosting involves on being boosted on top of teammates and running in sync with them. While you're both running, you can actually jump off of each other's head and gain a huge boost in velocity. This can be really useful, and you can get to certain positions faster, or if you really want to just cross a certain angle without getting shot. A very common run boost is to jump across the middle on Mirage in order to get to those boxes. Even very skilled operators have a difficult time of killing run boosted players because of how fast they're moving. This isn't something that pros will do in every single match, but in the right situation, they're more than willing to pull it out of their bag of tricks. Let's go ahead and talk about grenade management. Managing grenades is something that I've seen a lot of players at all skill levels struggle with. Grenade management essentially means that you're aware of how each grenade is thrown and what grenade is accomplishing for your team. If you want to just throw random flashes across the map for the sake of throwing them, you've essentially just wasted $200. If you're more conscious about your grenades before you throw them, it'll be way more beneficial to your team in some way. Try to hold on to your grenades as long as possible, and if you like to play in an aggressive position, it's fine to use most of your grenades early on in the round because it's very likely that you won't make it till the end of the round. But if you play a more passive spot, it might be a good idea to hold on to these nades as long as you can. Here's another way of thinking about it. As a CT, you should be using your grenades as a response to the grenades that the Ts are throwing. If you wait for the Ts to use their smokes, you can throw a Molotov at the entrance of the bomb site to slow down the enemy push. You could also counter their smokes by throwing your own smoke, once again slowing down the enemy's execution. Even though using grenades this way may not necessarily get you kills, it might buy you time for your teammates to rotate over and come help you. Starting to retake with 3 guys close to the bomb site instead of 2 will not only make it easier to trade kills, but also make sure that you'll be able to get to the site faster and have more time to defuse the bomb. This doesn't always mean that you shouldn't save your grenade, but if you're not taking a lot of fights early on into the round, you should really try to hold on to them. From the T's perspective, your utility should be used in order to bait the CTs into throwing their grenades. This is known as baiting grenades. Like I mentioned before, the T's should be trying to use their grenades as a counter to your grenades. Because of this, if you use your utility on one part of the map, you can actually trick the CTs into thinking where a lot of players are going to be, and they might throw a lot of their grenades. The goal of this is to make the CTs have very little grenades when you actually decide to push them onto the bomb site. If the CTs don't have any incendiary grenades or a smoke to delay your push, taking the site becomes easier and gives the enemy less time to rotate in and start the retake. You'd be really surprised at how easy it is for the enemy to throw their incendiary with just a flashbang or 2. Coming up next is the fake flash. Once you start playing in the higher ranks, players will turn away from flashes pretty quickly if they see them. You can go ahead and take advantage of this by tricking the enemy into thinking that you can throw a flashbang and then kill them when they have their back turned. There are 2 different ways you can do this. The first way is with the decoy grenade. Decoy grenades are pretty gimmicky and you don't see a lot of them used in professional play, but you might see them used as a fake flash. Decoy grenades have the same trajectory and a similar physical appearance to a flashbang, so anyone who isn't really paying attention would mistake the flying decoy for a flash. The other way you can do a fake flash is by throwing your pistol. It's not very uncommon for players to do a right-click flash and then peek with them, and you can go ahead and throw your pistol instead to catch your opponents off guard. It doesn't always work, but if you find yourself short on flashes, it actually might be worth a try. The last technique we're going to be talking about is using the one and done spots. The one and done spot is a position that most players won't check, like a random corner next to a bomb site entrance. Spots like this will usually get you a kill, but will also get traded because you have no way of falling back or getting support from your teammates. One and done spots will likely guarantee you for a kill or a trade, which can be very useful when your teammates have the man advantage. If you're in a 3 versus 2 scenario, playing a one and done spot can actually put you in a 2v1 scenario, which your team could win most of the time. However, if you play one and done spots when you have the even numbers or a man disadvantage on CT side, it's very likely that the enemy team will benefit from it more than you will because the one trades are more on favor of T side. These random corners can be useful tools, but only if you use them in the right situations. With that all being said, that's going to be the end of this video. I know there's a lot of information here to take in, so don't be afraid to watch this video a second time if you feel overwhelmed. If using any of these techniques that helped you win a competitive match, please leave a comment below. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you like videos such as this so you don't miss out on a single one. If you want to take a deeper dive into the world of CSGO, feel free to head over to ProGuides.com and then work with our expert coaches or view some of the courses that we have available for you. I wish you guys the best of luck to your journey to global. Have a wonderful day and stay safe and stay healthy. Peace.